let's talk about our first game of the weekend, a Friday night kickoff in Notre Dame, Indiana, Notre Dame Stadium, where the number 10 Indiana Hoosiers come into town to take on the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Like I mentioned, Friday night kickoff at 8 p.m. Shockingly, on ABC/ESPN. First time Notre Dame's played on a different television station, I believe, since 1960 or 70, other than NBC. That's crazy. So this is big. This is big in-state. I would call it. I wanted to say rivalry. It's not really a rivalry, but Brad, there's so many storylines in this game. We know Cignetti, just one heck of a coaching year. His first year at Indiana, makes the playoff. Then you got a guy, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, the head coach for Notre Dame. Remarkable season as well. Go ahead. You were going to say his name.
Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman, thank you. Former linebacker of Ohio State. Maybe he takes the Ohio State job. Friday gets fired. Never know. We'll talk about that at a later date. But anyways, Brad, for this game, I mean, so many storylines. I got my stuff to talk about, but I'll hand it over to you. Thoughts on this game, and what a great atmosphere. By the way, Notre Dame favored by 7. All these games, every single home team is favored by a touchdown or more. This is shocking. Thoughts on this game and who comes out on top in the state of Indiana?
Yeah, Nate. So just a couple things to hit on. You mentioned this game on ABC, ESPN. Of course, Notre Dame plays all their home games on NBC/Peacock due to the, of course, the TV rights. You Notre Dame fans know this, but with this being, a college football playoff game, ABC has the rights to this one. Nate was also reading, thought this was interesting. This is anticipated to be the latest start time, latest kickoff at Notre Dame Stadium. I was reading some of their recruiting boards today, so their fans seem really, really excited about that. Of course, it's going to be very, very chilly up there. But yeah, this is going to be a good way to start the first round weekend of the college football playoff. Excuse me. Still getting over a little bit of a cold. Nate, you mentioned these two coaches. What a job Kurtis Cignetti has done. If you want to know about him, just Google him. But he has done a really, really good job. I've been so impressed with the job he's done at Indiana. He's building a really, really good program there. And then Marcus Freeman, who just got a really, really nice contract extension. I'm not going to get too into it. I want to talk more about Ryan Day and kind of his situation when we jump into the Tennessee-Ohio State game. But Marcus Freeman's done an incredible job. Nate, this one to me is interesting. Indiana, look, I'm not making an argument with this statement. I think they do deserve to be here. But look, they got set up by a very, very favorable schedule. Let's be honest. Their signature win is against Michigan. Michigan is not what they've been in the past 2 or 3 seasons, obviously not what they were last year, but that does not take away. Kurtis Cignetti has done a good job. Kurtis Rourke, their quarterback, he gets a lot of the press, and rightfully so. He's had just a fantastic year. Nate, a guy that really impressed me defensively for the Hoosiers is Michael Karma. 10 sacks on the year. This guy is a little bit undersized, I guess you would say, but he does just a great job getting after the quarterback. He's going to be key. And then, jumping over to Notre Dame, of course, Riley Leonard, the Duke transfer, he's had just a really, really good year. And Nate, this is exactly why he transferred to Notre Dame. And that's no disrespect to Duke, but he wanted to come to a program that he had a chance to play in the playoff and compete for a national championship. And he's done that. He's had a really, really good year. Nate, what stands out to me is this rushing attack. Riley can definitely get it done with his arm, but this rushing attack, Jerimiyah Love, Price, and Leonard, they are just a unbelievable 1-2-3 punch. I believe if I'm doing the math correct, they've accounted for 36 rushing touchdowns between the three of them. Riley Leonard, we know, is a big physical quarterback, but he's such a running threat. And then, Nate, I think one other big thing that stands out to me, this Notre Dame secondary. Now, they're missing their best cover corner in Benjamin Morrison. He was out. He was done in October with a hip injury, but they're very, very talented safety. Watts, he's got 5 picks. Schuler has got 3. They've got a very, very good secondary, and I think that's something that is Indiana, outside of Ohio State, they have not seen a secondary like this. Combine that with this being a home game for Notre Dame, I'm taking the Irish. I do think it's going to be close, but I think ultimately the physicality of Notre Dame's running game and Riley Leonard just starts to wear Indiana down. I do think Kurtis Rourke probably throws a costly interception to this very talented secondary, and I'm going to take the Irish Friday night.
Yeah, Brad. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. And the one point that you hit on that I really agree with is Riley Leonard. I mean, he transferred to Notre Dame for opportunities like this. This is his moment. Like, he had a moment early on in the year versus Texas A&M. He capitalized. Then they have a fluke game against Northern Illinois, and they blow it at the end. And I think that's the one kind of takeaway I have from this college football regular season is everyone is vulnerable, and every team has a weakness that can be taken advantage of if given the right opportunity for the other team. So as we go through these playoffs, you're going to see a couple of teams that might win that you were probably not expecting to win based on key matchups, injuries, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be intriguing to watch as this playoff goes on. Now, for this game specifically, Indiana and Notre Dame, not a lot of history behind them. I believe the first time they played was in 1991. Notre Dame secured that victory 49 to 27. Notre Dame leads the all-time series 23 to 55. So they have played a little bit. But in terms of this matchup, it's obviously completely different from other seasons. You mentioned a guy like Kurtis Rourke. That's going to be the key. It's going to be Indiana's passing game versus Notre Dame's secondary. Can Notre Dame keep Rourke, for one, in the pocket, right? If they give him an opportunity to roll out, he's got the ability to make plays. He's a dynamic dual threat guy, and he can make you pay. So Notre Dame's going to have to get to him with their front four, their front pass rush. And then you look at Notre Dame's rushing attack versus Indiana's run defense. Talk about how physical a Notre Dame is up front. First thing that came to mind was, my goodness, how is anyone going to stop Notre Dame's offensive line? Because, look, let's say Notre Dame wins this game. They go on to play Georgia. Is Georgia's D-line going to be able to hold up against Notre Dame's front offensive line? I mean, it's one of the best offensive lines in the country. I think Georgia stacks up better than Indiana, obviously. But it's going to be tough for teams in this playoff that go against really good offensive line. That's what's going to win games, offense and defensive line, when you get into the depth of the season. So for this game, I'm going to go with Notre Dame Fighting Irish as well. I don't know if this is going to be a close game. It could go one of two ways. Either Indiana's going to keep it close, and then Notre Dame's going to pull away late in the fourth. Maybe, like you said, a costly turnover by Indiana, or Notre Dame's just going to come out and out-physical them, and it's going to be over from the start. So props to Cignetti. I think they're right where they need to be. That program is not going anywhere. I think he's going to be able to continue to build on what he's done this year. The donors are going to back it. The recruits are going to believe in him. The transfers are going to believe in him. So no disrespect to Indiana at all. But to your point, being on the road at night in Notre Dame, that crowd's going to be electric. It's going to be pumped up. So give me the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'll have them winning by 10. I think they win by 10. I think it's not super close, but I don't think it'll be a blowout either. Let us know down in the comments who you think is going to come away with this win in Notre Dame, Indiana.